I don't think I've seen too many Socratic dialogues in the Commons lately. One of the things you did mention, and I thought just as a side note, is the difference in talking about God in Britain, in the United States, and perhaps this is the first time you talked about God in Canada, isn't it?
On this trip. But I did speak about my Compassion Charter in Vancouver at the Dalai Lama's Peace Summit. That was a couple of weeks ago. But I've been in America, and Americans are very, very religious. And not all of this religion is what the Buddhists would call skillful, but a lot of it is. There's a great sort of seeking here. And often I find, Canadians a little cool about religion. But look at tonight, I mean, this could be the United States. I don't mean that, don't take that seriously.
And it does feel like it's going to snow.
Yes, exactly. In Britain, I am asked when I come round to dinner, would you please not mention religion? Which is a bit depressing, but or friends will say to me, Karen, what are you writing now? And I will say, perhaps it's Short History of Islam. Oh, for heaven's sake, when are you going to write something interesting for a change? It's very lovely for me to come to the United States and where people do want to discuss religion, but I think people are getting sick of all this aggression. The aggression of the Dawkins attack. He makes some quite valid points, because a lot of the religious ideas of God that are current are inadequate. But I just wish he wasn't so spiteful about it. And I don't think it's right to say that it's good to... He and they, all three of them, want to expunge religion from human consciousness. And again, this is not only unrealistic, but we can't talk after the horrors of the 20th century about expunging or wiping out things. It just doesn't work. And we need a more Socratic attempt to say we listen. You see, when you come to the end and you say, I don't know, you've driven your reason as far as it can go in a Socratic dialogue. It's highly rational. And at the end, you have encountered transcendence. That is that which lies beyond what we can know. And this is what we do as human beings. Our minds segue very naturally into transcendence. Music, for example, which is one of the most rational of the arts, closely related to mathematics, isn't about anything. And you can't exactly say what a late Beethoven quartet is about, but it fills you when you listen to music. It makes you inhabit your humanity more fully than usual. You feel expanded. And subjectivity and objectivity fuse, because if you listen to a Beethoven quartet, it's about sorrow, but it's not my sorrow. It's sorrow itself. And it's not just, a self-indulgent thing. If you put self into your music, it's going to be mediocre. And that applies to religion too.
I want to ask you about faith, because I think I found you brought something forward that I was just very, very happy to receive. I think, in fact, you solved a few problems for me when you did it. But faith, not as a notion, but faith as something quite different, the faith that moves mountains. Could you tell us about that?
Yes. Now, today, we often call religious people believers, as though accepting certain doctrines or articles of the creed were things that the main thing that religious people do. But the word, let's start with this way, the word belief in English has changed its meaning. Until the late 17th century, the word believin in Middle English meant to love, to commit yourself, to engage yourself as you do with someone you love, to trust as you do, to involve yourself. It was related to the German Liebe, beloved, and the Latin libido, for desire. And it was used, this word in the King James, when the Bible was translated into English, it was used to translate the Greek word pistis in the New Testament. In the New Testament, Jesus is always asking for faith. And nowadays, we think, therefore, he's asking us to believe that he was the Son of God or believe in the Incarnation, but not. Pistis means trust, engagement, commitment, involvement. Jesus is not asking his disciples to believe anything. I mean, the words Trinity or Incarnation or original sin didn't seem to have passed his lips as far as we know. What he was asking for was commitment. He wanted disciples who would go sell everything they had and give it to the poor and commit their whole lives to the coming kingdom, where there would be justice and people would live together in charity and peace. He wanted disciples who would live like the birds of the air and the lilies of the field, trusting with pistis in the God who was their Father. And in Latin, that word is credo. This would have been resounding, that word, credo, in this church for all its life as a church. And that's usually translated, I believe. But credo, too, comes from cordo, I give my heart. It inspires commitment. Now, there's a quotation, I mentioned it in the book, from St. Anselm. Anselm of Canterbury, 11th century. It's a very famous prayer. And Dawkins and people have great fun with this sort of Anselm's prayer, that he's trying to prove God's existence while praying to him, Well, in the course of this prayer, Anselm says, credo ut intelligam. And that's usually translated, I believe in order that I may understand. Credo ut intelligam. And I always thought that first I had to force myself to accept all these doctrines, no matter how incomprehensible they were and how difficult. I forced myself to accept them. And then as a reward for this, God would give me understanding. But this isn't what Anselm is saying at all. Credo ut intelligam should be translated, I involve myself, I engage myself, I commit myself, and then I will understand. And he goes on to say, and unless I so commit myself, I will not understand. Now this brings me to the point, what is faith? If it's not belief, and if it's not trust, it is practice. Religious knowledge in all the faith traditions, including Christianity until the modern period, is a form of practical knowledge. And there are some things you can't learn by reading a book. You can't learn how to drive a car simply by reading the rules of the road or the car manual. You can't learn to dance without constant, ceaseless, painful practice, hard work, day by day after day, year after year. But if you persevere, you may achieve the ability to move with unearthly grace and perform physical feats that are beyond the reach of an untrained body like mine. Say with gymnastics. It reveals a new capacity in the human being, physical capacity in the human being. Now, this is what religion is. Religion is hard work.